Most Pokemon games are about becoming the champion, but what if I told you that the strongest trainer was actually banned from the game, and the only proof that they exist is hidden in the code of the original Gen 1 games and can only be seen using glitches? This banned trainer is actually none other than our friend... Oops, sorry, I'm late. You weren't going to tell my story without me, were you? I mean, I told you I was going to make the video. It's not my fault you were late. I can't do everything for you. This, students, is what we call foreshadowing. Trust me, you want to stick around because we not only have a crazy turn of events, but also something rather... shiny. Let's get started then, shall we? It's pretty obvious that Professor Oak's team was probably scrapped because it might just be a beefed up version of the champion's rival battle. Professor Oak's team consisted of a level 66 Tauros, a level 67 Exeggutor, a level 68 Arcanine, a level 69 fully evolved starter, which was the one that was left behind by you and your rival, and a level 70 Gyarados. To me and many other people online, it seems like this fight could have originally been planned to be like the one on Mount Silver with Red, but it didn't make the final cut. If you ask me, it would have been pretty sweet to get to the deepest part of the Cerulean Cave and see Professor Oak right before you get to Mewtwo. But why did Professor Oak really get scrapped? We don't know the final answer, so I figured I'd take some creative liberties and tell the story how I believe it happened. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video because you're never going to guess what you might uncover. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and if you made it this far in the video, the odds are that you're probably going to like the rest of my content. Besides, it really helps out the channel, and you can always change your mind later. So, here's my story. Professor Oak has always been one to love a good battle. In fact, in Pokemon Masters EX, it's implied that Professor Oak and Elite Four member Agatha were once really good friends. Their friendship started to fall apart when the two went their separate ways in life. Oak wanted to research Pokemon, while Agatha trained to be the best ghost, or poison, don't even get me started on that, trainer she could be. During Agatha's Sync Pair story, A Day with Agatha, Agatha explains that Oak would always be willing to give her advice and help her. She just wanted to be alone, so she would battle him to get him to go away. But she could never win. She battled again and again with no luck. This infuriated her at the beginning, but somewhere down inside, she actually cherished this time that she spent with him. During the time that Oak broke off to research Pokemon, he realized he kept falling back on a certain group of them. It seemed that no matter what he did, no matter where he was, he would always get back to studying the same group in his party. Professor Oak worked tirelessly for years, all the while secretly training up some of the best Pokemon in the Kanto region. What better way to build a Pokemon team than to truly know your team forwards and backwards? At this time, there was no rule about how many badges you needed to have to challenge the Elite Four. You could go as soon as you first embarked on your Pokemon journey, or you could wait until you had 15 badges. Oak made his way through Victory Road and into the Indigo Plateau, where it was time to face the Elite Four. Each of the four, one by one, demolished by the sheer force and type diversity of Professor Oak's team. He was left with one last challenger, to defeat the newly crowned champion of the Pokémon League, Agatha. Even though Agatha and Oak were childhood friends, the roles were reversed here. Oak didn't utter a word as he tore apart the freshly crowned champions team, and just like that, the man from Palatown was champion. Oak was the true definition of a champion. Nobody could beat him. This went on for years until one day when the chairman of the Pokemon League came to talk to Professor Oak. They told him he was too powerful. There wasn't a trainer in Kanto who could overthrow his authority. They respectfully made Oak step down from his role of champion, leading his team in the Hall of Fame. The only difference between his team and the ones that you have put into the Hall of Fame is that they kept his Pokemon. And he had spent years researching this team, all to be just wiped away. Thankfully for Oak, the Pokemon League recognized that his research was so thorough and impactful for Pokemon growth that they wanted him to continue his research. They wanted him to research every Pokemon, so they placed him in the Pokemon lab in Palatown, with the task of recording information for every Pokemon in his newest invention, the Pokédex. And that's where I come in. I begin my journey as Teach, a Pokemon professor's understudy, fresh off of graduating from the Naranja Academy in Paldea. The recent installment of Pokemon, Scarlet and Violet, was all about going on a hunt for hidden treasure, and I was assigned to the Kanto region. After arriving at Palatown, Professor Oak had just finished a heated phone call with Agatha and stormed out towards Route 1 to get back to his daily birdwatching. All of a sudden, a Pikachu ran out of the tall grass and just begged to be our starter. But can I use it? Professor Oak use a Pikachu? The answer is actually yes. Professor Oak using a Pikachu is actually canon. Believe it or not, Professor Oak has used a Pikachu, but just not in the games. In the movie Forever Celebi, young Oak bonds with Ash and Pikachu. Fans think that he remembered this and he chose Pikachu for Ash on purpose. And that's canon enough for me. Peekapoo, welcome to the team. To make this challenge a little more fun, let's look a little bit deeper into the lore of Professor Oak and what other Pokemon he used to have. In multiple other games, Professor Oak is seen with a Nidorino. It's also confirmed in Pokemon Masters that he not only owns one, but it's his favorite Pokemon. He actually used this in the opening scene of the original Gen 1 games in the fight against that Gengar. That Gengar is actually Agatha's. So with that being said, Samson the Nidorino, you're on the team. Side note, I also picked up X-Wing the Pidgey. To make this challenge a little harder, I decided to put a level cap on my Pokemon for each gym. I can only level up my Pokemon to the level of the gym leader's ace. Also, if I can't catch one of Oak's Pokemon, or its pre-evolution, before each gym, I can't use it. So for Brock, all I'm going to have is Samson, Peekapoo, and X-Wing. I thought that having Samson on this team would be exactly what I needed to get through the gym, but there was one thing I didn't take into consideration. Nidoran male just isn't that good. Samson evolves into Nidorino at level 16, and the level cap for this gym is 12. What am I gonna do? Hello there. In my years of Pokemon research, sometimes you come across certain Pokemon who truly outshine the other Pokemon of a species. They learn moves earlier than they typically would via normal level up methods, and sometimes they learn moves that they typically never would at all. Some call this plot armor, I call it science. Maybe this is why they kicked me out of the Pokémon League. For Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu only, Pikachu is available to learn the move Double Kick. Double Kick is a fighting type move that is conveniently learned at level 9, just before you'd make it to Brock. This is also the case for Eevee in Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. With this newfound cheat code of a move, Peekapoo laid waste to Brock quite easily. There's not too much to say here other than the fact that for how awesome a Pokemon Onix is, I can't believe how bad its attack stat is. Boulder Badge acquired. After beating Brock, I made my way east of Pewter City, heading towards Mount Moon. On my way, we stopped at the Poke Center to rest up, and we came across a man selling a Pokemon for $500. Ah yes, the Magikarp scheme. $500 for disappointment. That disappointment? His name is Jack. Welcome to the team. I named Jack after one of my viewers, and if you want to name one of my Pokemon, come hang out in the streams. I stream all my video recordings live right here on YouTube and on Twitch. Now, Professor Oak did use a Gyarados on his team, so once Jack gets leveled up, he can hopefully carry the team. We made our way through Mount Moon, running into everyone's favorite villainous organization. After they blasted off again, we found the light at the end of the tunnel, which was Cerulean City. I went straight to Misty Gym. How'd that battle go? Well, what can I say? I've got the plot armor Pikachu. First her bike, and now her pride. Mark the Cascade badge off the list. Now, if there's one part about the original Pokemon games that I just don't enjoy, it would have to be the Nugget Bridge. For some reason, all these battles in Trainers North just feel like a waste of time. Nugget Bridge was handled with ease, and then I ran into a fisherman right next to Bill's house that had a Magikarp just like mine. So what did I do? We had an honor battle. I let Jack face off against his aquatic counterpart. After about 6 or 7 turns, I realized that Jack had actually learned Tackle somewhere. So finally Jack was able to contribute something to the team, and he beat the trainer all by himself. Jack, you're not useless. See that house up ahead? That's Bill's place. Brilliant young man. He used to be one of my understudies. Passionate, no doubt, but perhaps a bit too passionate. He was obsessed with understanding Pokemon, truly becoming one of them. I had to encourage him to take a step back. I do hope he's settled down quite a bit. What? Is that a talking Nidorino? On to the SSN. Who doesn't like a good cruise? This isn't the anime though, so the SSN was our next destination. Honestly, not much happened here because I just ran straight to the rival fight because Jack had evolved into the Gyarados finally. This battle was a little different from our past battles. My team was becoming more well-rounded, and it seemed like a team that could hang with just about anybody. The only type I didn't have a great coverage for was Electric type. I just can't really hit it with any super effective moves. But that's not too important yet, right? I quickly grabbed this game's version of Cut and went to take on Surge. I completed the gym puzzle in one attempt, and I'll admit it, this didn't go well. I may or may not have been defeated once here. I may or may not have had to use a few revives. We did eventually beat him. With 3 sparkly new badges, I never imagined that I'd be seeing anything more shiny than... Before we get to the first shiny, notice how I said first? We have to take a hike through Rock Tunnel to get to Lavender Town. Upon arrival, we come across a Cubone looking for his mom in the Pokemon Cemetery. Cubone was then taken by Team Rocket into Celadon's game corner to fuel their crippling gambling addictions. While spying from across the room, I accidentally tripped a switch which opened the door to their Rocket hideout. So not only do they have an evil team going around and stealing Pokemon, they also have an underground gambling ring? Up until now, I've only really used Pikachu and Jack. Gyarados is very powerful, and Plot Armor Pikachu can basically run through all the gyms. I really feel like we needed to pick up an Arcanine, so I headed out on the route between Saffron and Celadon to catch a Growlithe. I originally caught one and wanted to chain catch a Porygon just for fun. Now I may or may not have failed a Porygon once or... Never mind. But one thing I didn't expect is what would happen next. It's a shiny. Okay, we gotta lock in, chat. Let's go! This is my first ever shiny in this game. This was absolutely incredible. The fact that I not only caught a shiny, but one I actually needed. We caught the shiny Growlithe and evolved it into an Arcanine immediately. And we named it Deuterino after another one of my viewers who was the absolute most generous person ever with gifted memberships throughout the course of this challenge. Shout out to Dude in the comment section below. Remarkable, Teach. If that shiny doesn't deserve a like, I'm not sure what does. Also, subscribing to this YouTube channel is scientifically proven to increase shiny chances. Did you tell them about the other 3 Oak. I was saving that to the end. You'll have to wait until the end of the video to see those. I'm not going to bore you about the battles, but Oak's team was really making waves, destroying nearly every gym and every side quest along the way. It seemed that for every gym, we had coverage. Erica's aromas, they turned to smoke fast with Deuterino. At this point, I realized that I now, having obtained the Pokeflute back in Lavender Town, had access to one Pokemon I really wanted to obtain for this run. Like I stated before, I will be using a Tauros. I can now encounter one in the wild, and I took full advantage of that. My true Pokemon anime OGs know that in the anime, Ash caught 30 Tauros and sent them all to live on Professor Oak's ranch. What better senior prank than to drop off 30 Tauros for this video. Tauros typically has a 5% encounter rate on routes 14 and 15, so it took a couple of hours because I wanted to get a catch combo of 30. I caught 31 Tauros, shipped the first 30 to the lab, and named number 31 Forrest because he likes to run. You know, most trainers would send me a postcard or a heartfelt letter. You? A stampede! Now it's time for Koga. Well, we shockingly used the Plot Armor Pikachu. With the help of Deuterino and Jack, we got through it. It was actually one of the tougher battles. I just never remember or carry any moves that are super effective against poison types. Even with Sabrina's insanely engineered teleportation tiles, I didn't have much trouble teleporting her back to the Poke Center. I mean, I have an Arcanine and a Gyarados with dark moves. Blaine and Giovanni were truly a breeze because of how strong Jack and Dude are. Jack is truly the hard carry. Now, I don't mean to cut out a chunk of the story, but the fact that I can really speaks to how strong this team is. Let's take a quick look at the team and see if there are any glaring holes. Seems that the Nidorino is extremely weak compared to the other Pokemon. Hoping he can provide some ground coverage, but I'm not confident. He is not a Nidoking. 4 Satoros can learn a bunch of random coverage moves, and I can mess around with that. Exeggutor, the Exeggutor. I forgot to name it. I just caught this Pokemon, and it was a part of Oak's team, so it's a part of mine. I hate these stupid eggs, though. If I had to name it now, I'd name it Dummy. I have Deuterino, the shiny Arcanine. This Pokemon is legendary. Quite frankly, my strongest Pokemon. Peekapoo, the Plot Armor Pikachu, and Jack, the Gyarados, who I bought from the dude in the Poke Center. My most glaring weaknesses here would be that I struggle against Rock, Ghost, Ground, and Dragon. Good thing that 3 of the Elite 4 trainers specialize in Rock, with Bruno being a fighting Rock type, Ghost, which is Agatha, and Dragon, Lance. It almost seems that they crafted this Elite Four to combat Professor Oak's teams. Lorelei specializes in Ice and Water type Pokemon. Her team might have an Ice specialty, but nearly all of her Pokemon are weak to electric moves. I was able to get rid of her Dugong fairly quickly with Peekapoo. Next up was her Jinx. I switched to Deuterino to Fire Blast his way through her. 2 down. Cloyster and Slowbro went down to Peekapoo, leaving her Lapras. Her team is tanky, but I was able to pull through. Next up, Bruno. I met Bruno's Onix lead with Jack. A waterfall was all I needed to prove Gyarados' Serpentine supremacy. Bruno went with Hitmonchan next. Not gonna lie, I didn't remember that he had the elemental punches. Dummy the Exeggutor was able to put both Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee to sleep, Leech Seed, and Psychic them to death. Poliwrath fell to Peekapoo, leaving his ace Machamp. Through some combination of Dummy, Jack, Pikachu, and Dude, we won. I'm not gonna lie, I had to use some revives for Agatha. She opened her battle by roasting Professor Oak. She might still be a little bit bitter from their old history. Agatha led with her Arbok. I led with Dude. I just tried to go through a stab battle here, and Dude won out. I wanted to save Dummy for Gengar. Dummy was able to use Sleep, Leech Seed, and Psychic to quell the Ghost, leading into Golbat. Peekapoo was able to Thunderbolt both Golbat and Weezing to get us to her ace, her second Gengar. Her second Gengar is much stronger and faster than the first. Pikachu was able to finish his anime hero arc plot armor. We were able to move on to the Dragon Master, Lance. Lance leads with Cedra, who is not a dragon yet. That's Gen 2. So I shock him, literally, with Pikachu. Next, I met his Aerodactyl with Jack. Waterfall does the trick. Lance then sends out his own Gyarados. And with Gyarados being such a great member for my team, I know how strong it can be. I also know that it's quad weak to whatever my strongest Pokemon is, which is Pikachu. Peekapoo made a quick work of the Gyarados. Lance's next Pokemon it completely shocked me. I didn't remember him having a Charizard. I immediately panicked, but then I remembered I have Jack. All that I have left is his Dragonite. I do have Blizzard on Jack. Peekapoo has electric coverage. I think we can handle this, and we do. We are now the Pokemon champions. What? We have one more battle? Oh, so I guess all we have to do is defeat Professor Oak? Just kidding. Loki had me worried there for a second. Professor Oak jokes that you get to face him. Instead, we face our rival. He leads with Pidgeot and immediately Mega Evolves it. Pikachu, you got him. Our rival follows with Vileplume. Dude, do your worst. Marowak is his next Pokemon. It took me until just now, writing the script for the video, to realize that he evolved the Cubone from Lavender Town into Marowak, and we are battling that Cubone. Well done, Game Freak. Gyarados, you use Waterfall. And do it again to Rapidash. I'm able to take out his Slowbro with Peekapoo, leaving him with just one Pokemon, his Eevee. The one he started out at the very beginning, evolved into Jolteon. Jolteon is so fast. I don't have anything to outspeed it. I finally got his Jolteon down to red HP and one attack from becoming the champion, so I decided to go with Deuterino to seal the deal. How can we not be romantic about a story like this? The shiny, the legend, the dude. Yep, that didn't work. But we were able to quickly attack our way to becoming the champion. And we did it. You did it. You really did it. With the team they said was too strong. The team they forced me to give up. You didn't just win, you restored my honor. You showed the world what they feared all those years ago. And you did it with grace, with grit, and with science. You made this old professor proud, not just as a trainer, but as my successor. But don't hang up your lab coat just yet. The Pokémon League was only a battle. The true mission is the Pokédex. Your final challenge is to find and catch every Pokémon across the Kanto region. Every cave, every coastline, every last patch of tall grass. Complete the Pokédex, and I will officially name you Honorary Professor of Pokémon. Now go, and show the world what my greatest student can do. At the beginning of the recording of this video, I actually wanted this to be a Professor Oak challenge. I started the video by catching all the Pokemon available before each badge, and I wanted to beat it in true Professor Oak style. That's actually how I encountered the shiny Growlithe. I was chanting Porygon, caught a full out shiny. As I mentioned earlier, we ended up catching 3 more shinies, adding up to 4 total. The shinies we caught were Fish, the shiny Rhyhorn. Found Fish while resetting in Victory Road for Hitmonlee. Shiny Pidgey. I forgot to name it, so let's call him Bird. And then Bean the shiny Oddish. I found Bean while trying to encounter Scyther. Scyther has a 1% spawn rate, which is a 1 out of 100 shot, right? Shiny odds with Allure and no shiny charm in Pokemon Let's Go are 1 in 2048, which is a 0.05 chance. That's basically like saying for every shiny we encounter, we should catch 20 Scyther. What should I find first? A Scyther or a shiny? Yep, shiny Oddish. With my video coming to an end, I do want to say thank you to all the people who helped me with this video. Their links will be in the description below. Please make sure to go check out their channels because they're all awesome people who have really spent time that they could be doing something else and they helped me with the video. Lastly, I want to say thank you to you guys, the viewers. Whether you're a first-time viewer, a frequent voter in the which Pokemon would you pick videos, a live stream regular, or one of my faithful diehard members in the classroom. Thank you. Your support is truly appreciated and I hope this video does the challenge justice. Let's end the video with a montage of all the original 150 Pokemon in the best way that I know how to organize them. Electro, Diglett, Nidoran, Mankey, Venusaur, Rattata, Fearow, Pidgey, Seaking, Jolteon, Dragonite, Ghastly, Ponyta, Vaporeon, Poliwrath, Butterfree, Venomoth, Poliwag, Nidorino, Golduck, Ivysaur, Grimer, Victreebel, Moltres, Nidoking, Farfetch, Abra, Jigglypuff, Kingler, Rhyhorn, Clefable, Wigglytuff, Zubat, Primeape, Meowth, Onix, Geodude, Rapidash, Magneton, Snorlax, Gengar, Tangela, Goldeen, Spearow, Weezing, Seal, Gyarados, Slowbro, Kabuto, Persian, Paris, Horsey, Raticate, Magnemite, Kadabra, Weepinbell, Ditto, Cloyster, Caterpie, Sandshrew, Bulbasaur, Charmander, Golem, Pikachu, Alakazam, Doduo, Venonat, Macho, Kangaskhan, Hypno, Electabuzz, Flareon, Blastoise, Poliwhirl, Oddish, Drowsy, Raichu, Nidoqueen, Bellsprout, Starmie, Metapod, Marowak, Kakuna, Clefairy, Dodrio, Seadra, Vileplume, Krabby, Lickitung, Tauros, Weedle, Nidoran, Machop, Shelder, Porygon, Hitmonchan, Articuno, Jinx, Nidorina, Beedrill, Haunter, Squirtle, Chansey, Parasect, Execute, Muk, Dugong, Pidgeotto, Lapras, Vulpix, Rhydon, Charizard, Machamp, Pinsir, Coughing, Dugtrio, Golbat, Staryu, Magikarp, Ninetales, Ekans, Omastar, Scyther, Tentacool, Dragonair, Magmar, Sandslash, Hitmonlee, Psyduck, Arcanine, Eevee, Exeggutor, Kabutops, Zapdos, Dratini, Growlithe, Mr. Mime, Cubone, Graveler, Voltorb, Glue, Charmeleon, Wartortle, Mewtwo, Tentacruel, Aerodactyl, Ammonite, Slowpoke, Pidgeot, Arbok. That's all, folks.